All right, let's go to Ralph. Ralph is interesting, right? So it's been 2 weeks. A lot has happened in the Ralphiverse. Okay, last I talked about Ethan Ralph, I think that his frumpy new girlfriend had already left him, and he was having a spat with Mersh in a drunken fit of rage. Now, he was angry at Mersh because Mersh was the real dude that Frumpy was trying to hook up with. Frumpy hooked up with Ralph literally as last resort of any E-celeb she could hook up with to. Even Mersh, a nobody, a literal nobody, told this Frumpy bish, get that away from me with your nasty ass soggy retard box. I ain't smashing that. And then she was like, okay, I guess Ethan Ralph. And if I can't even get Mersh, I'm going to Ethan Ralph. If you want to know who Mersh is, I don't know. I can't help you. I can't. You've come to me like an AI. Like, who is Mersh? I don't know. That is my official response to you, okay? But Mersh was her first choice. And then he found out, Ethan Ralph found out that his frumpy box that he smashed actually wanted Mersh. And then he started popping off at Mersh. Now, apparently, according to PPP, I actually don't know this, Mersh and Ralph had like a soft alliance and they had a shared audience. And when Ralph chose hoes before bros over Mersh, a lot of his top simp pay pigs like Edelwolf started siding with Mersh over Ralph, meaning that his last financial vestiges are being withered away by this conflict. And a loss that was completely unperpetuated because Mersh made absolutely no statements that made Ethan Ralph look bad until Ralph started chimping out at him. And Mersh even warned him to not get in a relationship with this frumpy hoe because she was obviously a clout chasing like psycho. Okay. And then to epically own Mersh in a fight that was not, that he was not a participant of, that there was only one person actively engaging in the fight with, Ethan Ralph sent Mersh a picture of him with Xander. And this is the first picture we've seen of Xander in quite a while. Do you want to guess why this is the first picture of Xander that we've seen in like 2 years now? Because as a part of their visitation agreement, no pictures of Xander are permitted to go on the internet. This is enforced by the family courts of California. It is a stipulation for him being able to see Xander at all. And he can only see him like once every 2 weeks or something. So that was like one of the only rules. You're allowed to take pictures, but they're for your own personal photo albums. You cannot post them on the internet to brag about having a son. Well, in a drunken stupor in a fight that only he was participating in to epically own Mersh, he says, look, bitch, I got a son. And sent a picture violating his agreement with the California family courts for visiting his own son that he's so proud of, apparently. Ralph then, of course, crashed out and said that he got hacked, bitch.
And smoked defiant cigars.
Oh, dude. Someone sent Ralph a super chat with Praise Abort by Till Lindemann as the music. And I'm so happy that Praise Abort is now in the gunted.
Okay, so what is this horse saying? Jesus Christ.
Okay. Then Ralph somehow miraculously, he has done this, and I swear to God, he has done this exact same thing like 100 times. 100 times. He has gone up to his browser bar and accidentally showed his history, in this case, buying Rumble Live viewers. It's speculated that this particular package is like 250 viewers, so he probably gets less than 100 viewers on some days. Ralph, you can go to the settings for your browser and disable history suggestions. You can use a different browser for your stream. Not only do I use a different browser when I stream, like I have two browsers open right now. I use Brave for like the chat, the thing that pulls in all the chat messages and management. That's one thing. I use Firefox for the actual on-screen thing. I use an entirely different operating system for actually streaming. I don't use this Windows installation for literally anything except for streaming. And it's like, how do you've been doing this for like 10 years and you don't know the basics of like not yourself. So he just shows that, yeah, he's completely like bottomed out. This is as bad as it's ever going to get for Ralph. He's completely fucked up everything. And then he got served. So actually, let me get the whole rant with Mersh in it. That's funnier. I'm going to clip the whole thing down here, I think. Yeah, it's about 4 minutes, but it's worth it. It's Ralph.
Adol Wolf sent $2 on Rumble. Mersh thinks he can take your kids away? He's afraid of getting his own mail in fear there might be some coleslaw in there from Jesse.
I mentioned that Adolwolf stopped donating. Ralph, his system, I think, allows you... Actually, no, this is by Rumble. I guess this could be him. Maybe Adolwolf is the last dent, the last retard, still there, that is standing besides Ralph.
Guy is a coward pussy who wouldn't even let you call in. Gay.
You know what? And dude, I have so much more on this. Like
Anonymous.
By the way, Mersh, thanks for promoting Power Chat with the hat that was sent to me, by the way, on your Spurg out last night. Now, I know you use super tips because you're but he was literally wearing my Power Chat hat because he thought that was some kind of own. So now your Meltdown stream that everybody's been clipping and laughing at has an actual advertisement for the service that I use. So, like, honestly, lols, money well spent, bro. I gotta say. I had cats, by the way, 10 years before Mersh, and it wasn't for like a grift. He did that to get back on YouTube. He's like fraud. An old head friend of mine. I don't know if I want to name him because I think it's better to keep it a little murky. But an old sector aficionado said,
wait, what happened to his cats? Did his cat die? I remember that he had pets and one of them died. Like his dog died. Is that cat still alive? What's his name? Was it Jasper? Jasper's DSP's cat, right?
Have you thought about any, like...
Oh, yeah, Cleo. Cleo died, right? Oh, he died in the hurricane. I don't know if he got stuck there and died while Ralph was in... I remember this. Ralph went to Cuba and left the cat behind. And I don't know if it, died for real or if it ran away or what.
It's like some diplomatic off-ramp. That's the political science term, right? So to avoid like full-scale war, full-scale death, nuclear, disaster, there's usually some type of off-ramp.
Political science 101, bitch.
He said, "What would your off-ramp be for this?" And I said, "Mersh, that's my off-ramp."
I think he said
and
die.
He said, "That's some real old school sector shit." And I said, "I know."
I'm so glad he's fat again. You know what I mean? There was like that time where he was like super bad on alcohol, and he must have been doing that thing that alcoholics do, where they stop eating so that they can enjoy a stronger buzz, because like food reduces like your alcohol intake or slows it down or whatever. So he just stopped eating, and he got like really weirdly thin, like Ethan Klein, like sickly looking. And now he's like nice and fat again. That's much better.
Oh yeah, we got an off ramp, and it's the Africans dancing with his casket. That's the off-ramp.
Anonymous sent $10. Wait, who is this toothless bitch you're referring to? Mersh?
Well, no, but he does. I think he is missing a tooth as well. And you know, I could have let all this go. Except Mersh brought my son into this.
You brought him. It's if you actually said
Published.
there are a couple like people that I talk about where like Andy Worski gets like his reputation for being pause ski because it will be like he will interrupt literally like 1 second at a time. I think the worst thing that Andy does is that he'll like interrupt, he'll go off on a tangent, and that tangent won't even be that good to begin with. And then he'll like do this where he'll be like, he'll finish up and then be like, and then this other part where he like forgot to say something. It's like, bro, come on, play the goddamn video. Where he wasn't even let like a second play before he's like, oh, I have to get to the next thing. It's like, stop it, let it play. But there's a thing with Ralph and a lot of other people who are like, never to take them seriously afterwards. This is why I get through clips so much faster, because it's like a comment like that is something I usually just brush off. Where it's like, okay, you're a liar. Everyone knows you're a liar. You're a liar because your name is Ethan Ralph and you lie continuously. I'm not going to sit here and like pause and point out every contradiction, but a lot of commenters do that. Like that's how they get like 2 hours of content out of like Amber Lynn footage or Nick Rekieta, because they'll pause at every single thing they say and say, that's a lie. And that's like, yeah, I know he's lying because he's talking. Okay, he's Ethan Ralph. But there, right, like that's really egregious. That's like demonstrably false. And it's false in like a funny way to point out, where it's like, you sent him a picture of your own child against the rules of the court. And I think even he's even like maintaining that he was hacked, because if he admits that he sent it, then he like, and it's his fault, then whatever. But he says that he was like hacked, and someone hacked into his photo album and then hacked into his Twitter and sent the picture of his son to Mersh instead of like doing anything else or posting it publicly or finding anything embarrassing. It's just like that's the thing where you don't have to pause and be like, that's a lie. That didn't happen. Because obviously it's a lie. But this is the lie where it's like, you brought him up. There was no reason to. And then Mersh's response to this was, I'm going to take your kid. And literally, I'm going to take your kid away. I'm going to become his stepdad because you sent me this photo against the rules of the court. I'm going to have to file something to you over. But could it happen? Could Mersh possibly go over Ethan Ralph, chat?
An authorized photograph of him, didn't blur any faces, didn't do anything. Now he's talking about taking my son. Taking my daughter, he even said last night. There's no coming back from that.
Look at those dead eyes, man. Look at those dead eyes. He's got like Shondo eyes. Like these are the beady little pig slits of a possessed man.
Talk about Aaron M. Holt, which I will talk about him soon. Aaron M. Holt never said anything like that to me ever. And I never said anything like that to him, that I would try to take his kids away.
1,000.
I didn't say that to Nick Rekieta. I've never said that to anybody ever. I've said a lot of up shit, including today. But I've never said that, because a man has got to have a code. And you talk about taking...
This is not the guy that messages Shondo. That's Gator. Ralph sees Shondo and is like, I don't understand. She ain't got no titties. She ain't got no ass. She ain't even real. How am I supposed to do that with my curly pig dick? I can't. That's a cartoon character. So he's not interested in Shondo.
People's kids away. And, you make fun of people's families and stuff. There's a certain, line, gray area, maybe, whatever. But you talk about taking someone's kids away. You're going to raise my son. Well, you'll have to raise yourself up from the grave to do that, if that ever happened. That's what I got to tell you. And so...
A few moments later.
Now, let's see. Oh, I see how they wanted to throw something at me here during the show. Let's see. Let's see. Of course, they do this to try to, throw me off here. Well, Mersh is up to his tricks here, because apparently I've been served here, I guess.
It happens. I forgot to mention, by the way, that the Venezuelan guy admitted that he did those weird things where he got into a Discord call with other guys on video and they all jerk off together. I don't know why that's a thing, by the way, but apparently that's a thing that the kids do these days. They all just get on Discord and jerk off together, and he admitted to doing that. That's the end of the line in like your gooner life. Anyways, this is a random thing I forgot. I just noticed. So that's Ralph served. I suppose, but because of his violations with the family stuff, but he did not say that on stream. It just makes sense. And that's what he's been up to. There's more you could play with Mersh and stuff, responding and going back and forth. But you know what, chat? I feel like that covers these things pretty soundly. Ralph being Ralph, as always. Picking new fights with old friends, for literally just scraping the bottom of the barrel for reasons to have feuds with people. It's like he can't get off unless he's just yelling at somebody. I can't wait for the Adolwolf stream where he like plays black people music and is like, I'm about to burn it all down again, Adolwolf. Oh, I think even there was a clip I saw where he was yelling at like a super chatter who had given him like thousands of dollars, and he started using that against him. He was like, you've given me over $1,000, bish. You my hoe. Like he started like belittling him. And it's like, bro, you still have other pay pigs that are giving you money, and you're like, if you give me money, you're a little bitch. Like, well, that's not what you want to say when you rely on other people's generosity for your means. It's a bad idea. Matter of fact, he threatened Ricada and EVS. When did he do that? That just happened? The stream ended with Ralph aborting the stream to join Ethan Van Syver's stream featuring Nick Ricada, which has already been archived here. In the stream, Ralph reveals that he has warned Nick Ricada that Ice Dancer is a snake and he needs to stop messaging her or else, which is exactly what Mersh did to Ralph, which is true. Someone knows for a fact that Ricada and Ice Dancer have been and are still talking to each other daily and brings this up on air. Ricada immediately folds to this, meaning that whoever is feeding Ralph this Ebba dance is true and vindicated. So this is post-arrest, post-child abuse case, post-breaking up with What's-Her-Face. He's talking to the frumpy, soggy box and trying to hook up with that for whatever reason. Okay. So I don't talk about Ricada. He's just like a miserable piece of shit. After Ricada runs away, Ralph declares that he has voice recordings and messages of Ice Dancer saying that Ricada's wife is taking strange trips to Mexico and that Ricada has been doing whippets. Awesome. Happy for him. Last thing interesting from the stream is that before Ralph learning that he has a court hearing Zoom call on Friday, already planned to have no shows until Sunday, something Ralph never openly plans on doing, which begs the question, what exactly was Ralph planning on doing for 3 days? Whippets, I guess. What does a pig do? If you leave a pig to his own devices, what did he do? Someone leaked screenshots from Piggy's Spite Chat group where he's talking about his appearance in the EVS stream completely unhinged. He's doing mafia shit. Okay, let's read this. This will be the end of the segment. I don't know who this guy is. This Ethan? I don't know whose stream this is. I don't know where these clips come from, but I'm gonna read these in Ralph voice. Okay. I'm locked in, bros. They f***ed around and they turned me back to the old me. Is that like a rap song lyric? He says that a lot. You're going to turn me back to the old me. That's like from Eminem or something, isn't it? They f***ed around and they turned me back to the old me, the straight killer. I looked like a serial killer, Lamau. I went back and watched, and I almost never do. My face looked legit scary, LOL. When I paused this thing of him like looking like a grumpy pig at the camera, and I made fun of him for looking like a shondo, like a buck-broken gimpy hoe. He's like, I look so terrifying. You could feel my aura. I was shaking. I was making Mersh shaking his boots. Straight up killer. I love how every frame of him like hollering is just funny. I know. I'm dangerous. I'm the Joker, baby. I'm the Joker. Straight killer. It's unfortunate what's going to have to happen now. I couldn't believe he admitted that on air. Did you see my face? Also, I was in total killed mode. I snapped off on EVS as well. You're not gonna talk to me like a neighbor. I don't even give a about Green Lantern 1993 or whatever the you drew. I'm on my mafia shit, bitch. You admitted to talking to me like a bitch, collaborating on my kid. Nah, bro. And then someone says to them all, unfortunately, Mersh has made it to where Nick is now gonna burn. But did Nick really did it to himself? Still talking to her? After I already told you she ratted so much of your life to me? Okay, So that's Ralph's current agenda. He is going to epically own Nick Rekieta, a man who could not possibly get more owned. I don't know. Maybe he has evidence of him committing a crime so we can break parole. Now that would be funny. But I doubt it. Ethan Ralph. Very brief update on Ethan Ralph. Someone dug through the paperwork for Ethan Ralph's ongoing dispute with Faith Chol Vickers. Very funny story in case you forgot. Faith, her father named her Chloe as a middle name after like her grandmother or something. And either the midwife or somebody somewhere misspelled her name as Chol when they entered it into the system. And Matthew Vickers was so much of a wigger, a lazy, stupid wigger, he never bothered to change it. So she is now 20s and still named Faith Chol Vickers. In case you're wondering about that's a beautiful, beautiful name origin. It has so much meaning, so much value. My father and my mother are stupid, lazy wiggers, and they never bothered to change my name on my birth certificate after somebody spelled it wrong. Very loving, it's so cool. Such deep lore. Anyways, she's disputing her child support payments from Ethan Ralph, saying that he is not paying her anymore. And to evidence this, she attached some payments from Sandra Ralph. Interesting. If you're not very caught up on the Ethan Ralph drama, Sandra Ralph is his mother. And notably, Sandra Ralph is dead. So Ethan Ralph appears to have seized control of her PayPal accounts, probably because he's been banned off of PayPal by now, and is using her account to pay his child support. Actually, used to pay his child support, but so I don't know the specific legalities around doing such a thing, but it is notable that he is puppeteering his dead mother's PayPal account to pay his child support. And who knows? If she has bank accounts open still, maybe that bank account is receiving something from somewhere, but I don't know nothing about that, officer. Matter of fact, I'm just some guy, officer. Ethan Ralph is being sued by Matthew Vickers. Should I ramble on? Should I presuppose that my audience knows who Matthew Vickers is? It's probably a bad assumption to make, right? Yes, again. So Matthew Vickers is suing Ethan Ralph. Brief trek back. Ethan Ralph is a porcine fellow, big time fan of the show, who lives in Mexico, and he has two baby mamas. Baby mama one is Faith Chol Vickers, who has his son Xander, who he loves ever so much, and then baby mama two is May Ralph, who has now changed her name and the name of her daughter that Ralph does not care nearly as much about. And she has disappeared because she realized that there's no coming back from being gunted after being digibroed. So she's trying to hide. Okay. Harry Morris actually sent me a message on Twitter recently. I don't even remember why. What is his name? Harry Morris, HMO, Twitter. What's his Twitter handle? Is it HMO116? Yes, it is. Okay. What did he send me? From HMO to XJuice. None. He did send me a message. Am I hallucinating? He definitely sent me something. Did he delete this in shame? I don't know. Maybe it was a fake Harry Morris. He did some. I saw a message. It was over Thanksgiving. I can't remember what it was about though. But baby mama dada 1 is a retard. It's actually remarkable, and I say this every time I have to talk about Matthew Vickers, but it's one of the most remarkable things ever, is how unique Ralph feels in terms of being like a pig monster. And then Harry Morris is just, or not Harry Morris, but Matthew Vickers is just that. It's like Faith Joel Vickers literally found somebody who is exactly like her dad and him, and went out of her way, like 3,000 miles out of her way, to get impregnated by a pig monster, precisely the same as her father. And now her father seethes and writhes in irrelevance, recently divorced. I think his house is in foreclosure. There's no way that his adult children like him because he appears to be an imbecile. And now he is spending his days filing pro se litigation against the man who gunted his daughter and has forced him into a sort of bloodline cuckoldry that hitherto the birth of the demon child had never been seen before in human history. So he's being sued, and he published the document, not to be confused with a Google docu. This one is a state of California docu, and the docu says that defendant Ethan Ralph and 10 John Does are being sued for damages of defamation of character. A defamation lawsuit in California. Not a good idea. I honestly think that Ethan Ralph pro se could probably get an anti-slap judgment against Matthew Vickers in California. It might be weird because you don't usually strongly associate California with like freedom of speech protections, but in that particular state, there's a really big thing we just talked about with famous people who don't like being sued by opportunistic, litigious fuckheads all the time. So they do actually have a really, really strong anti-slap statute. So let's see what the charges are here, or the allegations. It's a short docu. This one is brevity, okay? Defendant Ethan Oliver Ralph was, and at all times herein mentioned is, an individual conducting business online self-employed as a lowercase I internet talk show host with an audience included in the state of California. Except where otherwise alleged, all events, transactions, and occurrences alleged herein occurred in Nevada County, California. The true names and capacities, whether individual, corporate, or associate of otherwise defendant Does 1 through 10, inclusive, are unknown to plaintiff, who therefore sues defendants by such fictitious names. Plaintiff will amend this complaint to show their true names and capacities when the same have been ascertained. Plaintiff is informed and believes, and thereon alleges, that each of the defendant Does 1 through 10, inclusive, are negligently or otherwise legally responsible in some manner for the events referred to in this complaint and have caused financial injuries as alleged in this complaint. 4. Plaintiff is informed and believes, and thereon alleges, that at all times herein mentioned each defendant was an agent or employee of the remaining defendants, and in doing the things mentioned in the complaint was acting within the scope and course of his or her authority as such agent or employee without permission of consent of, with the permission of, and consent of each of the defendants. So this is a conspiracy. This is a wide-ranging, possibly corporate material conspiracy to defame the good character of the pig monster, Matthew Vickers, okay, who is suffering egregiously. And at the top of this conspiracy is none other than Ethan Ralph. 5. Since at least July 1st, 2020, defendant Ralph has earned his living hosting an online talk show called The Keel Stream Baby. On occasion, he has also hosted another online talk show called Tequila Sunrise. Defendant Ralph, during any of these shows, has between a few hundred to a few thousand live viewers and additional viewers, actually a few dozen to a few thousand, and additional viewers who watch the show after it has aired live. During this time, he has broadcasted the show from various platforms, including DLive, Odyssey, Rumble, Kick, and Cozy. Additionally, defendant Ralph has a public Twitter account, username The Ralph Retort, which had over 100,000 at the time of complaint. 100,000 what, sir? I thought this was written by AI at first, but I think he copied something for this and then started filling in his details, and it's just like missing words. He's had over 100,000 though. Paragraph 6. On August 18th, 2022, Plaintiff Vickers filed an OSC, you might want to explain what that is, against defendant Ralph as a result of repetitive, demeaning, slanderous, contemptuous, defamatory, and embarrassing comments over the lowercase I internet exposed to the world through the lowercase I internet, through media and written messages and podcasts between August 2022 and May 2023, following a held at Nevada County Supreme Court on May 26 and concluding on May 31. Defendant Ralph was found guilty of violating the stipulation in order 3 times. On June 22nd, 2023, Plaintiff Vickers filed an unlimited civil lawsuit against defendant Ralph for defamation per se, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, IIED, the most powerful tort of all time. The case was dismissed on May 28th at the request of Plaintiff Vickers due to hardships that at the time made the case difficult to continue, and after conversations with defendant Ralph, which seemed to indicate that defendant Ralph would not continue his habitual defamatory tendencies. But now that he's divorced, I guess, the hardship has left the house, and he can do whatever he wants now. On November 19th, 2025, so recently, defendant Ralph published defamatory statements on Hex, formerly Twitter, account stating that Plaintiff Vickers was a... On November 20th, 2025, defendant Ralph posted a video to his X account. The video was over 8 minutes long and included multiple defamatory statements, including calling Plaintiff Vickers a and suggesting that Plaintiff Vickers was actively attempting to kill his ex-wife. Defendant Ralph knew that these statements were untrue, said these statements with negligence, malice, and the express purpose of harming Plaintiff Vickers. This statement is very important because when they do the sniff test, this is the minimum bar required to have a defamatory statement. It has to be untrue, and it has to be unreasonable to assume that Ralph did not know that they were untrue. As a further approximate result to the acts of the defendant, plaintiff has lost and will continue to lose earnings in an unascertained amount. That's not good for your case. Plaintiff will seek to amend this complaint as such time as this amount is ascertained or according to proof at the time of trial. As a further, that's really weak, bro. You need to find something somewhere where some guy refused to give you $20 to mow his lawn because he went online and saw that Ethan Ralph had called you a and he doesn't want you to his thorn bush or something. You can't just say I was theoretically and some unquantifiable amount injured. That's not meeting the standard for this. Okay. As a further approximate result of the actions defendant, plaintiff's present and future earning capacity has been impaired. The exact amount of this loss is not known to plaintiff at this time, and plaintiff will move to amend this complaint when it becomes known to them according to proof at the time of trial. As a further approximate result of the acts of the defendant, plaintiff has incurred inconsequential expenses and has suffered consequential losses to his business, household, and other property to be shown according to proof at the time of trial. You need to put this in the complaint, I'm pretty sure, to show that you've incurred some damage. Okay, first cause of action, defamation, same thing you said above. Publications on the lower I internet alleging acts of abuse planned were false and defamatory. As a result of the defendant's false and defamatory reports regarding plaintiff has been damaged specially and generally in amount to be shown later, because you can't quantify it because you don't have any damages. Plaintiff is further entitled to recover punitive damages from defendant's claim defamation of character due to malice, fraud, or oppressive pursuant or oppression. And then negligence. Plaintiff re-alleges and incorporates everything above. Plaintiff alleges the defendant's conduct as a previously alleged resulted from defendant's negligence and failure to act reasonably and without consent or privilege. What? Where did that come from? As a result of the defendant's negligent conduct, plaintiff was injured physically and emotionally, entitling him to recover general and special damages in an amount to be shown at the time of trial. And is asking for this judgment, general damages, past and future income and business according to proof, consequential damages, damages for each publication, an injunction preventing future publications of false defamatory statements, for punitive damages pursuant to the statute for each intentional cause of action, for attorney's fees and costs according to statute. You don't have an attorney. And for such other future further relief as the court deems just and proper. Like, this has to be just for a way for him to try and waste Ralph's money. Because it's like, this is like if you went to Gemini and you said to Gemini, give me the most basic rudimentary complaint possible for defamation that alleges absolutely everything you need to allege and not a single thing more in order to get past a slap in California. But like, to actually get through that, you have to show stuff. Usually you have to, like, it's nice to include like a receipt, like some kind of statement, like evidence. Like, okay, how about this one? This one's really important. He says at the very end, after re-alleging all this information I just read, at the very end, he says the statements through his negligence cause physical injury. So what you would have to show for physical injury is you would have to show the court that Ethan Ralph made you so butthurt that you are now physically disabled as a result of your butthurt. You have to go to a doctor and receive medical, like a doctor's note, a diagnosis that Ethan Ralph's defamatory statement hurt your ass so much that you're now required to sit for a certain number of hours in a day and you can't work as a result. So his lawn mowing business is completely destroyed. Not only is he losing customers because they can't trust him not to the thorn bush because of what Ralph said, but also his ass is now so mangled that Ethan Ralph, because of what Ethan Ralph has said, that he has a doctor's note proving that he can't stand or walk or push a lawnmower the way that he needs to conduct his business. And therefore, Ethan Ralph owes him money for the anal pain that he has caused. That is what he's actually trying to allege. And it helps a lot, even though technically you're not supposed to submit evidence, during the complaint, but it helps a lot to say, like, here's a receipt. Here's the doctor's note. Or to even mention that I have receipts. He says, I don't know how much it's cost me. He doesn't even know. He could say things like, I went to a doctor about my anal pain. It cost me $1,000 a week for X amount of weeks to get my anal pain diagnosed. I had to take time off work to go and see this doctor. Here's I have at least 4 different instances of being told directly by customers that they were very concerned about their thorn bushes as a result of what Ethan Ralph has said. That's the kind of stuff that is in a complaint that makes it past the very, very high bar for this. This is like bare minimum. This honestly, it feels like ChatGPT, plus he went back and made a couple typos throughout it. Because it doesn't contain specific allegations that are persuasive. What it does do is cause enough of a problem for Ralph, and I think that's what his intention is, to get Ralph to have to lawyer up and spend $5,000 on a retainer, and that's all he's trying to do. Like, he's just the most miserable sack of shit. He's such a cunt. He's such a dumpy cunt. It really pisses me off that there's people like him out there in the world that are allowed to just waste the resources of the court and of random people over like the most petty, vindictive, white trash shit ever conceived. And there's no punishment. It's like if Ralph wins, the judge doesn't go over with a hammer and just smash Matthew Vickers' hands into a fine paste, which is what it should do. I honestly believe that you file shit like this, they should go over with a hammer and smash and smash and smash until your tendons are like ready to go into a foe or something, because you don't belong out in the civilized world causing issues like this with people. Even if it's Ethan Ralph. Just the worst people. Harding is an attorney in California. I do know somebody, but if I call him a favor from them, it better be worth it. Next. Ralph had a hearing related to his child custody case. He says his child support payments have changed from $800 a month to $200 per week, equaling an extra $800 in payment every year. I don't know how that works out, but apparently it does. He's not allowed to dole it out piecemeal. He has to pay as a lump sum every time. along with a backlog of missed payments. The court has asked him to supply a valid mailing address. Visitations can resume, and Ralph claims they have a date penciled in, but he's no longer allowed to talk about his visits, including when and where they are. He is still not allowed to take pictures of Xander, and it's unknown if he has to delete the existing pictures that he has of him. Ralph claimed that Sandra's PayPal was not addressed by the court, but Faith has moved. Faith is now living in San Diego and is no longer in Nevada County. So the child custody case no longer has jurisdiction in Nevada County. So future hearings regarding the child custody case will take place in San Diego's juvenile courts or whatever, family court. And apparently these other issues can be relitigated there, but not this time. And that's it. The stuff with Mersh didn't pan out. That might be revisited in San Diego. And then Ralph, despite the numerous A-logs attempting to destroy his Thanksgiving cheer, when confronted by the beautiful plate setting of his most sworn vile enemy, had only this to say: "Looks like a nice spread. Enjoy your Thanksgiving." Ralph put out a Thanksgiving message, which was rather nice for him. I don't remember anything in it being particularly weird or unwieldy or very Ralph Hamel-esque. So I don't know. Maybe he really does just love living in Mexico so much that he's somehow able to keep his Thanksgiving Day spirit. I was thinking, what could Ralph possibly eat in Mexico that would be traditionally Thanksgiving related? And the closest thing I could come up with is Turkey Creek whiskey. I think it's a whiskey. And that's about it. So I guess he had some Turkey Creek and he was just vibing. It was just chilling out, okay? I did give it a like. I did like the Zeet.